Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy 2022. Wow. It's like we haven't done this for an incredibly long time. Well, was last year, I guess, if you want to be that kid.
I was a maths nerd. Yeah.
We're trying something new today. We're standing because I read a book over the holidays that said you should stand when you're doing creative work. I don't know if we'll keep standing, but we're trying it today. And we have a new microphone. So I'm curious to know if that makes any difference for anybody. I think it's working. I guess I could just check really quickly. Audio, is it working? It says it's working. I don't know. Somebody write and let us know if you can hear us. We'll see the comments. So if you can hear us, just write and say, yes, I guess that will take care of that for us. Happy New Year. Wow. We're well into January now. 4 days, right? Is it the 4th?
Yes, it is.
Dr. Mary, what are we talking about today?
You had in one of your other jobs, you wrote this fantastic end of year blog, and you asked some serious questions. Well, some very good questions, and we're going to address them today.
Okay. Yes, my mother wrote and said, "We can hear you. It doesn't sound much different." It didn't sound much different to me either, which I find very distressing. So I don't know if we'll keep the microphone or not, but thank you for responding. So we know at least people can hear us. Okay. So yes, I do all this other writing, and I found these questions, which I'll put the link in for you in a second, called End Your Year Intentionally with these 10 questions. We're not going to do all 10 questions, but some of them I think are really interesting. So I'm going to ask Dr. Mary, and then we're going to ask you, and we'd love it if you would respond. What made 2021 unforgettable for you? You can all answer that too. Sorry, while Dr. Mary.
A couple of things. One thing that made it on a positive side was the fact that in another year of a pandemic, you and I found wonderful things to do together and actually enjoy each other's company still.
That's true.
On the downside, of course, during the course of a year, a sad day will come into it. Of course, we lost our beloved Lily in July. So
we did.
But to put a positive flip on that, because this is what we try and do, lots of people rallied around us. We were babysitting another dog. Your mother and Bob came to stay with us, and that really helped. So
yes, it did.
There's another indication that you're never really alone. And we weren't alone in 2021.
No, that is true. All right. So now I'm trying to do too many things at once and probably looking highly distracted. Sorry. Okay. How about the rest of you? I'll go back to that in just a second. I'm trying to get a short link for the questions so you can look at them if you want to. All right. Next question. I'm just going to do that. And I'm going to copy it and I'm going to put it here. Oh my gosh, I cannot talk, create, type, do all of that at the same time.
Not yet.
Not yet. Probably never.
No, I'll bet you'll get there.
All right, that's the one I'm going to show you. You can go to that. Okay.
That was impressive.
Thank you,
by
Ken.
the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Who or what is one thing or person you're grateful for?
Oh, that'll be you. Easy enough.
Okay, thank you. You too. Yes, that sounds a little afterthoughty. Sorry. What's the biggest win? What was the biggest win of the year? I love this question. Too often we stop and think about what we didn't accomplish. What did you accomplish?
Because we had a couple of people in sabbatical, I volunteered to teach in overload, and I ended up teaching in super overload. And I'm grateful for the fact that I actually managed to do it with good grace to the point that you actually commented on how well I did.
Dr. Mary does not manage extra very well. He gets a little
flustered, it would be.
That's the nice way to put it.
Apoplectic.
But he did, apoplectic, you mean?
That's even that
Yep.
word, that'll work.
He did really, really well. Sorry, this past semester. So yes, I think that is a huge win for you. How about you all? Biggest win of the year. Okay, I love this question. What did you read, watch, or listen to that made the most impact this year?
There wasn't a single one. I think I have to say all of our guests and their stories, they were just absolutely fantastic. You know, we've had two sets of children and parents give two sides of a story. They both stick in my mind this year a lot.
Yes, absolutely. They were incredible. They continue to be incredible. We've already got all of January booked, so our Thursdays will continue to be inspiring conversations. I'm going to take a lighter tack on this one and say Ted Lasso.
Oh, you know, I thought about that.
Yeah.
Because that show is all about being kind to each other.
Yeah. And
there just happens to be some soccer.
There's a lot of soccer and an incredible amount of swearing. But it is absolutely some of the most joyful television I've ever
it really
watched.
Is about being the better part of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else have anything you want to answer with so far? Thank you for your answer, Mother. She said, again, just to go back, all the kids and grandkids getting here for Thanksgiving.
That was a nice time too.
That was nice. Everybody except one of our sister-in-laws was there, so that was lovely. All right. What did you worry about most and how did it turn out? I love this question. In 2021, what did you worry about most and how did it turn out? Because it's easy to say, oh, I worried about, and then not stop and think about, well, how did it go? So what would you say?
Oh, well, I can't give you the same answer for the last question. I could say I was worried about teaching an overload. It turned out fine, but I was worried about the pandemic and what it was going and what other mutations and variants we were going to end up with, and it hasn't actually turned out that badly.
Yeah.
I mean, Omicron is spreading like gangbusters, but it's not as virulent. It's the death rate's gone down. The infection rate has gone up. So in the unvaccinated, there's a slight suggestion, get yourself vaccinated and boosted.
Yeah, you know, we have different approaches to this, so I'm going to pass on that. I'm going to stay light and gentle for the first day of 2021. What did I worry about most? This big talk I gave at Microsoft. I was apoplectic about that talk, and it went just fine.
Yes.
Just fine. What was your biggest regret and why? I don't love this question. I don't really have regrets. There are things I would do differently, things I wish had gone better, but I don't really live with regret.
No, I don't know.
How about you?
I think I'm the same. I can't think of anything. I try not to dwell.
Well, I think that so often what happens is your regrets are where you grow and change and evolve and become a better person. So, you know, on one hand, do I regret that I married someone who became an alcoholic? I guess there was a lot of crummy years in that, but look what it's brought. Look what it's given us. Look at the relationship we have. Look at the opportunities we've had to connect with other people, to engage in this incredible storytelling around trying to eliminate the shame and stigma of addiction. I wouldn't go back and change the hard part because this part has been so important. So I think it's really hard to see regret only as a negative. So far in life, we'll have to see if things change.
That's a good stance to have.
What's one thing that changed about yourself?
One thing that changed? I don't know.
I do, for me. You're going off camera, Dr. Mary. Okay, I'll talk while you think.
Yes, I'll ponder. You talk, I ponder.
So I have a history of feeling, let's say, insecure about where I'm from, or the fact that I have all this state school education, or the fact that I just have liberal arts degrees, or I just run a small nonprofit, or whatever. There's all these just fill in the blank things in my life, and they can cause me to spiral out of control if I really find myself in a situation where I feel pressed about that insecurity. So I've been to some conferences in the past that led to some very, very difficult learning for me. But Maz and I went to something in September. You know, we were in San Diego. And boy, I just didn't care at all. I was just happy to let that go. And I know that a big piece of it was that I wasn't there alone. Maz was there. But a bigger piece of it was no part of my self-worth was tied to the fact that it didn't work out. It just didn't work out, which is fine. All kinds of things don't work out. That's not a reflection on who you are necessarily as a person. And it's certainly not a reflection on you being a bad person or a failed person. So that was a big lesson for me to just say, this isn't for us, and to gracefully step away from it and let it go. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add?
Change about myself. I think I finally listened. You've been telling me this for years, but I had a great example of a grade dispute in a class I co-taught, and Dr. Michelle Tiggers, who co-taught it with me, I wrote this massive reply to a student. She went, "Oh, this is very good, but we're just going to tell them this." She just took the bit out and said, "This is your grade. This is what you got. You didn't deserve anything higher." And just that ended it.
That was that.
So less is more.
Less is
You've been
more.
trying to tell me that for years, and that was it just stuck in my mind because it was just one of those things that it happened, and I thought, yeah, finally, well done. Should have listened.
Yes.
So that's change about myself. Hopefully this time next year we won't come back and say, I
had to relearn.
It didn't work out for me, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to stick with it.
All right. What surprised you the most this year? How about anybody else?
I think how quick it went.
It did fly. It's funny that things got smaller and smaller and smaller, and yet time went faster and faster and faster.
I think I actually spent, I don't know if I did this consciously or maybe I'm just looking back and trying to find an excuse, but during the pandemic, when I was trying to do stuff, like putting stuff together for classes, I just said to myself, oh my God, this is fine. We're in a pandemic. This is going to be easy. And I just kept doing things and they worked out perfectly well. So weirdly, I think I ended up being less stressed because I kept thinking about the fact that it could be a lot worse.
Huh. That's interesting.
Very Catholic, but there you go.
I was going to say it's very not Catholic because it's not gloom and doom, end of the
there
world.
I'm getting better.
Hell and damnation. Yes. Yeah. You know what? A lot of things that surprised me were, I was very surprised by how a lot of people responded to things that felt like they were not really that big a deal to me, like vaccinations. So it's, we won't go down that path. If you could go back to last January 1st, what suggestion would you give yourself?
I hate these questions because it goes back to regret.
Not necessarily. What if it goes back to say yes to more bike rides because you'll have more ice cream?
Ew. Slow.
Or get on the plane and go see your boy. Just wear your mask and wash your hands and get on the plane. It'll be okay. I don't think it has to be a negative.
No.
So, we made it through almost all the questions. I can't remember if we started at the very beginning or not. But I think they're great questions. So go back and see if you want to answer them too. Oh, here, let's see what this one is. I would say tell myself to slow down in life.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a good one. Thank you for that. I agree. I think there's too much emphasis on, run the hamster wheel faster and faster and faster. You can't get anywhere if you never give your brain a second to settle down and imagine. My best work comes when I'm out walking and I don't have on music and I don't have on a podcast and I'm by myself. That's where my brain wanders. So I like that point a lot. Thank you for that. All right. Thursday is going to be a pre-record because we're talking to a couple from the West Coast and we just opted not to make them get up at 6:30 their time.
Very nice of us.
We are so very nice. But I hope you tune in because here's what I'm excited about. It's a couple who's practicing dry January. not because they have to, but just because they looked at themselves and said, maybe we should try this for two reasons. One, we might be drinking a little more than we're paying attention to because we're home all day, every day together. And two, this is an accomplishable goal. So let's start the year off with a win. And I think that the great majority of our listening, watching audience are not people for whom alcohol is 1 is not enough and 10 is not enough. 1 is too many. What is that phrase?
1 isn't enough. No, 1 is
too many and 10 isn't enough. It's not, our audience is not, I think, composed of people who really struggle with alcoholism. I think it's composed of people who think, I wonder if I'm maybe having 1 glass too many. So it's people who fall more towards my side of the spectrum than Maz's. And that's where this couple is. So I think you will find them really interesting. Plus, they're just an interesting dynamic couple. Yeah. So tune in. It's the new year. I'm just going to say this to you as something to consider. 2022, the goal for Daily Dose is to grow and grow and grow and grow. So if you watch us every day, thank you, or every Tuesday and Thursday.
Bless you.
Thank you. We love that you show up. We love that you comment and like and click and do all of that. This year, would you share the content? Not every time, but if a conversation really sticks with you, would you share it and encourage your networks? Also, we have picked up a couple of new audience people for the newsletter because my mom, of all people, has started saying, when people reference drinking, my daughter and son-in-law do this program. And it's been really lovely to see that little bit of ripple happen. So, you can talk about it from the standpoint of what you find value in. You don't have to only seek out people who you think are drinking too much. What we hear so often is that most of what we talk about is applicable to many facets of life. So if you do that for us, that would make us happy. Like and share.
Thank you.
And share. So happy New Year. Stay warm, for heaven's sakes. It's cold. Even in a warmer day like today, it is cold.
It's getting colder again.
Yes,
so
it is.
Stay warm.
So stay warm. We'll see you Thursday. We'll be back live next Tuesday. Happy day. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.